evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, True Crime with Jess Rose. And very quickly, before I begin, the last story I did, which was the Sean Rossington story, I added my own little conspiracy theory in there and stated that how could the girl have phoned the emergency services when she had no credit on her phone? Yet I heard it back after. It's ridiculous. Of course you can phone the emergency services if you've got no credit. So a little bit of a mess up there with my own little conspiracy theory, so I'll try and keep them to a minimum. But thank you for coming back, and tonight I'd like to look at a show called Britain's Darkest Taboos again, and this is the Rebecca Aylward story, and this one's actually titled Murdered for a Free Breakfast. Yeah, shocking, absolutely awful case. So we have 15-year-old Rebecca Aylward, lovely girl, tiny, 5'1", 6 stone, you know, lovely girl, eldest of 3, lovely mum and dad, you know, fantastic home life. And in school, on the show, there's a teacher, her teacher Lorraine, and she said she was so studious. She was an A+ student, just your all-round perfect kind of girl, student, everything. She had so much going for her. And also in Rebecca's class, taught by Lorraine, was a lad called Joshua Davies, also 15, and very similar to Rebecca, very studious, A+ student, nice group of friends, popular, good looking, you know, blonde, blue-eyed. I will drop a link in the bottom, as I normally do, and, you know, you can see for yourself. But so very, you know, like a perfect, a couple made for each other, really. And Rebecca and him do become friends. For the first year, actually, she didn't pay much attention to him. You know, it kind of wasn't on her radar. And then after a year or so being in the same class, they do strike up a friendship. And this progresses. And they do start going out with each other. And the family love him. He's very charming, you know, very attention-seeking as well a little bit, very clever. But, like I say, very charming. So, the family welcoming him in. They, he comes round for dinner. And in January of 2010, they go out as a family for the weekends, and it's an amazing weekend. They come back. The mum is also on the show on Britain's Darkest Taboos. Her name's Sonia. Very quiet, you know, unassuming lady, very nice. They're from Wales, and, you know, she just seems like she would welcome someone in. But Emma Kenny, who's the psychologist on the show, she did say on paper that Joshua Davies, any one of us would want him to be a boyfriend for your daughter. You know, he was on paper perfect, and they were a perfect match. So, you know, it was no surprise to anyone how well they got on, and it just seemed like this real fairy tale high school love story kind of thing. But like I say, they go have this weekend together, and Sonia, Rebecca's mum, says that Rebecca says goodbye to him. You know, he leaves for the evening, and a couple of hours later, Rebecca's quite upset, and he's texted her and finished the relationship. You know, like I say to everyone, including Rebecca, including her family, this relationship could only have got better. They seemed made for each other. So the fact that he's dumped her by text was just shocking to everybody. And the mum, of course, was upset for Rebecca, but they were 15, you know, first love. She was very confused why he did it, but she just comforted Rebecca as best she could, and just, as mums do, try and make you feel better. And she thought no more of it. Her mum did. Like I say, very confused why, but it wasn't a big thing. But Rebecca now was going to school, obviously with her ex-boyfriend, and he proceeded to make her life hell. Absolute hell. He sent rumours around that she was pregnant. Anyone who wanted to be her friend talked to her. Anyone Joshua got to first, he proceeded to really badmouth her. Just say some real horrible things about this girl. And it's so confusing because up until then, it was perfect. It wasn't even a established proper relationship. It was still very much honeymoon period, and very shocking to everyone, including Rebecca's friends. Her friends stayed her friends. They stayed very loyal to her. You know, the politics of school, someone doesn't like somebody and that person happens to be popular who doesn't like them. Everyone tends to go with that person. And that was the case for a lot of people that Rebecca knew, but her loyal friend circles supported her. And they knew it wasn't true. They knew all the stuff he was saying wasn't true. So while he was talking to his friends, this progressed beyond an ex-girlfriend that he dislikes now for whatever reason. It started to progress beyond that. And he started telling his friends he wants her dead. He doesn't just want her dead, he wants to kill her. I mean, this is a very, very quick progression. And why? What? You none the wiser after watching the programme either. Nobody is what brought this along. There's no, he had a very good home life, a very good upbringing. There's no broken home or any excuse like that can be trying to explain his behaviour away. So when he's talking about killing Rebecca to his friends, he goes into an awful lot of detail. Awful lot, I mean, in-depth detail. And thinking he's just a bit bravado, the friends are just taking it all with a pinch of salt. That no one takes him seriously, because not only was he telling his friends, he was also telling anyone who listened, he wants this girl dead, he wants to kill her. And one of the ways he came up with to kill her was poisoning. And apparently foxgloves mixed with coke is it's very poisonous. And they found, after the fact, a pestle and mortar where he'd been mixing this poison. It was found in his home, or his parents' house. And around when would it say? So about June 2010, Rebecca started to feel very ill, and it was unexplained. No one knew why, and she ended up in hospital. And while she was there, all the friends are very concerned, and it's the Facebook era, isn't it? So everything's on Facebook, and they're all, saying, really hope you get better soon, Becky. She had a lot of love from a lot of people, but there was one person missing from these messages and this outreach of people wanting to, and people visiting the hospital. Joshua Davis didn't at all. And the mum was surprised at this, because she remembers a very caring person. He came across very caring and thoughtful. And when she asked Rebecca, has Josh come to visit you or see how you are? Rebecca's like, no, nothing. I think she was shocked by it. I thought, something as serious as this, why hasn't he been in touch? Well, I think we kind of know, but that's neither confirmed nor denied on the show. It just says what was found and that she was ill, but because they couldn't determine why she was as ill as she was, it was never, I suppose, put together. So in September of 2010, after the summer holidays, they all returned to school, and Rebecca starts seeing somebody else. And Josh doesn't like this. Joshua doesn't like this at all. How dare she see somebody else? After all the hell I've given her, she should still be pining for me. And because she was still so in love with him, the slightest inkling that he might, want to pursue the relationship again, she'd drop anyone. She idolised this boy, and of course, not knowing why he broke the relationship up, any sign that he wanted to get back with her, and she, she was there. She wanted to be back with him. She's so young. So on Friday, the 22nd of October, Joshua calls Becky at home, and it's obviously in the evening, and says he wants to meet her the next day, which would be Saturday, the 23rd of October 2010, sorry. And Rebecca's, she's over the moon. She's so excited. She's, going to her mum. I think he wants to get back with me. He wants to meet me. She was so excited. So the next day she's getting ready on the Saturday afternoon, and the mum says everything kind of was brand new. She went out and bought herself a new outfit. She'd done her hair. She'd done her makeup. You can just imagine this young 15-year-old girl being so excited. Her mum said she was dancing around. She was so happy, thinking, he wants me back. We're going to get back together. So her aunt drops her at Sarn train station. This is in Wales, like I said. And what the arrangement was, she was going to meet him there because his grandmother lived in this particular area. She was going to meet him, and it was her aunt that dropped her there. And they were going to come back with her aunt back to her mum's house. So, see how nice the family are. Just ready to welcome him back in again. The slightest inkling that all of a sudden, I want you back. But the whole family open arms. Because don't forget, their last memory of this boy was that weekend they went away. He came across amazing. And I suppose they thought, when he gets here, we'll drop in, what happened? Why would you finish that? I reckon that's what might have happened. But the aunt phones the mum, says she's dropped her off. And when her mum is waiting, to see what's going on, Rebecca phones her. Rebecca phones her mum. She's like, he's not here. And anyway, she gets a text while she's on the phone to her mum, and she's in a park, and he changes the meeting place. That was the meeting place in this park, and he changes it. And basically he starts walking Rebecca around this village, and the mum's like, this is ridiculous. The mum's on the phone to her. She's obviously, I presume she'd be on the phone and checking a text, he wants me to go here, he wants me to go there. The mum's obviously very confused and annoyed, I suppose, by this. Her daughter's been led round the raking. Anyway, as she's still on the phone to her mum, she goes, there he is. And the mum was like, are you sure it's him? So the mum, she's done everything, but she says, is it him? And she said, Rebecca says, yeah. And then the mum waits a minute, and then she goes, are you sure that's Joshua Davis? She actually says his full name. And Rebecca said, yeah, look, he's standing in front of me. The mum found it odd that in the past, when Rebecca's been on the phone to her, if Joshua has been around, he's always shouted in, hi Sonia, or hi Son, or he'll even take the phone. But she said he never said a word, not a single word. So although Rebecca was saying, yes, he's in front of me, the mum had to take Rebecca's word for that, and that was it. And she never speaks to her daughter again after that. That was the last time she ever spoke to her. So at 5 o'clock, the aunt rings Sonia, her mum, and says, Rebecca's not here for me to pick up. And the mum's a bit shocked at this because she thought they'd be on the way back by now, because all they were supposed to do was pick him up and come back to the house. So she's like, well, that's not right. So the aunt goes around the village looking for Rebecca. The mum's at home phoning all her friends, and no one's seen her. No one's heard from her, nothing. So mum phones the police. Of course, this is so unlike her for no one to have heard of her. And like I say, it's the Facebook era, so for her not to have updated her status or anything else, it was just so out of the ordinary for her. So they phoned the police. Everyone starts hunting. Saturday night goes into Sunday morning. And on the Sunday, one of Joshua's friends talks to his parents and tells them what he knows. Because obviously everyone knows that Rebecca's missing. And this lad obviously couldn't hold it anymore and tells his parents, look, I think Rebecca could be really hurt and I know where she is. So the parents take him straight to the police station. So on the Sunday evening, Sonia gets a knock at the door, and it's to tell her they found Rebecca in the woods. Obviously dead. She was found face down in the woods. And like I said, this girl was tiny girl. And they've arrested two young lads. And when they tell her that one of them lads is Joshua Davies, her mum says, I didn't believe it. It can't be him. Contrast to that, when news of what had happened to Rebecca went round and the police started asking friends, most of them say it's Joshua Davies. That's exactly who he is. So, it shows that the front he put on for her parents to what he put on for his friends and peers, totally different opinions completely. But the police just say, look, we know it's him. We know it's him. So she's just found out her daughter's died. The daughter's 15 years old. Rebecca was 15. And it was her 16-year-old ex-boyfriend that's done it. And her mum's got to try and process this information. It was just, you can't imagine. You can't imagine how she felt. It's just, it's horrible. So in July 2011, the trial begins for Joshua and his friend. And basically what Joshua has said, what the defence are saying for Josh, is that it was his friend that did it. And Josh and Rebecca had played a trick on Joshua's friend, pretending she'd fainted or, she was on the floor and then she goes, yeah, I'm all right. And he got so angry, he killed her. And when asked how did your friends kill Rebecca, he goes, it was with a rock. And he starts to do an impression like this of a rock Rebecca's head being hit by a rock. And the mum, Sonia, was at the trial. Of course, she wants to find out what happened to her daughter. And she said, as you seen him raise his hand and, bring it down, she said, I knew then it was him. You could just tell. Well, no one was buying this story. And the truth actually comes out through witnesses and, their testimony, but also a lot of text messages. Yes, the Facebook text message era, although this isn't on faking it tears of a crime, it might as well be that kind of a story in the sense of how they get caught out, because so these text messages were horrific. And he's actually changed his profile picture on Facebook to a picture of the woods that Rebecca was found in. So he'd done that the day before he met her. So he's done that. And then he's sending messages back and forth to his friends, it's going to happen. And the reason his friends knew what he was talking about was for the past couple of months, Joshua and his friends meet at a cafe for breakfast every Saturday morning. And for the past few months, Josh and his friends have been talking about how he's going to kill Rebecca. So although he was talking about it at school and to anyone who'd listen, quite serious plans were going on in this cafe. And like I said, these friends, they didn't believe it. They just thought, right, okay, how are you going to do it? And one of them says, know what, if you do it, I'll get you free breakfast. You're talking about killing a 15-year-old girl, and it's like a bet over the football, and I'll get you breakfast if your team wins. And that's what, and these text messages went into detail about what he wanted to do to her, what he was going to do. And anyway, after he left the calf that morning, when he was going to meet Rebecca, to get back with her, all this ploy, he sends a message saying, it's about to happen, or it's going to happen, and get that free breakfast ready, kind of confirming what he was thinking of doing. Now imagine what I said about her. Now she's dancing around, she's got a new outfit on, she's so happy, and completely the polar opposite. He's there also planning to meet her to kill her. For what? But for what? So he sends this message, and anyway, a couple of hours later, he gets his two friends, and they meet him outside the woods, and one goes up with him, and sees Rebecca lying there. And sorry, before they walked up, he phoned them and says, do you want to come up? And they were like, are you with Rebecca? And he's like, define with, smart ass to the end. And it's quite chilling to think that, define with, she's dead, so am I really with her or am I not? So the friend comes up, sees Rebecca, and this is the friend that couldn't hold it, when he realised everyone was looking for her and everything else, and he told his parents. And it said that Joshua explained to him what he did to Rebecca, and when he got out to a certain part of the woods, he tried to strangle her. He tried to actually choke her to death, and he couldn't. And he says, I tried to break her neck, and he couldn't. And when he couldn't, she was screaming. This poor girl was screaming for her life, for him to let her go. She must have been so confused. She's got to have been. And when that didn't work, he picked up a rock and he carved her skull in and continued to do it. And his actual description of it was, it was bad enough, I was doing it, but then I could hear and see her skull collapse. But, So the jury went out on the 22nd of July 2011, and it actually took them 5 days. It wasn't until the 27th of July 2011 they returned, and they come back with a verdict of guilty for Joshua Davis. His friend wasn't found not guilty. Guilty of murder. He was given life with a minimum term of 14 years. 14 years. The kid will be 30 when he gets out. But, they don't also know if he'll be released. Emma Kenny, and another woman, on the show, another psychologist on the show, it's Kerry Nixon. They said, he had antisocial personality traits, and he was basically a psychopath, because at such a young age, at 16, to be so callous. Kerry Nixon actually met him. She said she's come across other offenders of that age, who have committed murder, but more gang murder, and, even domestic situations, but it's been a lead up to murder. She said she's never come across someone so cold and calculating and dangerous as Joshua Davis. And I think a lot of people are hoping this lad never gets released, because to do this at 16, it's quoted on the show, what's he capable of 26 or 36 when he'll actually be, if he ever gets out? But he's never admitted to it. Although all of that come out, even, him saying to his friend, I felt a skull caving and I heard it. He's never admitted that. Obviously, he said that he didn't say it. And, to this day, he can't give the mum that closure of why he did it. He can't, and it's very sad at the end. Very, very sad, because the mum, she does the footsteps that Rebecca would have taken on that Saturday all the way up to the woods, and she brings some flowers, and she said something that did stick with me. She said she'll never go back there again. And I feel like she tries to justify that decision, because obviously that's where Rebecca died. And she says it's been blessed and it's holy ground, and she hopes nothing ever happens to anyone there again. But Joshua Davies chose that spot. Her daughter did not. So she'll never return back there again, because that was Joshua's place. Rebecca would, she didn't choose to be there. And I just thought it made a lot of sense. And, her voice does break at the end when she talked. It's a very, very sad story. And like I say, it's on Britain's Darkest Taboos. I will pop a link in the bottom. And yeah, he was 16 years old. Just a very, very sad case. So yes, that was the Rebecca Aylward story. It's actually called, on Britain's Darkest Taboos, Murdered for a Free Breakfast. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me again. And if you've got any comments or anything, or if I've given any theories that don't actually pan out, please let me know. Or if you want to subscribe as well, that'd be amazing. And I will definitely see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me again. See you soon.